Yes, it's Tales from the Jails with John G. Sutton here. Please do like and subscribe, it's down there. Also a link to my book, you've got to get that, it's on Amazon, folks. Yeah. Anyway, I want to talk today about corruption in the Metropolitan Police. Really? As if there would be such a thing. Well, it certainly seems to be the case, and I'm just talking about my personal experiences to start with. Back in 1975-76, I was working on the segregation unit at Wormwood Scrubs Prison, which is along Duquesne Road in London West 12. And it's named Duquesne Road after the head of the prison service, who was a military general called Duquesne, Sir Edmund Duquesne. Hence the road is called Duquesne Road, and the prison that he commissioned and supervised the building of was called Wormwood Scrubs. And the reason it was called Wormwood Scrubs is because it was built on land that had the scrub wormwood growing on it. So it was called Wormwood Scrubs. And it is probably the most famous prison in Britain, having been featured in numerous movies, and of course housed some of Britain's most notorious prisoners. I believe Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones was in there at one time. You heard that saying, cut it long, cut it short, cut it with a knife and fork. It refers to having your hair cut in prison, where the staff held you down, got a fork, stuck it in the side of your head, turned it round, pulled the hair out and cut it off with a knife. That's what happened to Keith Richards. So I believe there were staff there who were telling me that anyway. So as I say, in 1975-76, on the segregation unit, the block at Wormwood Scrubs, there was a man called Kenneth Drury who was an inmate, and he had previously been a commander, which is a very senior rank above Chief Superintendent in the Metropolitan Police, and he was the head of the flying squad, otherwise known as the Sweeney. Remember that one? Da-da-da, da-da-da. Except the Commander Drury, who was the head of the Sweeney, was sitting down having dinner and going on holidays with a man called Bernie Silver. Now, Bernie Silver was known as the King of Soho. He owned and controlled numerous strip joints, prostitutions, drugs, all the lot. That was Bernie Silver. And he too happened to be in Wormwood Scrubs, but he was in the hospital because Bernie Silver was suffering from a form of syphilis. And he was infected with that. In fact, one night I had a close encounter with Bernie Silver. I was the officer in charge of the hospital ward upstairs. It's on the first landing of in the Scrubs. And I fell asleep inadvertently, it'd be about 2 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up, and who would be sitting on my knee? Because I woke up with somebody on my knee, and they got hold of me. And it was Bernie Silver. And he was trying to kiss me. He's saying, kiss me, I love you, I love you. Oh my God, it's bad enough with the Cambridge rapist. Now I've got some bloody Soho King of the Ponces on my knee trying to stick his tongue down my throat. Well, I very gently persuaded him to get off like that. And the thing was, he wasn't in his sound mind, Bernie Silver. Look it up, don't just believe me. Go and search it on Google. Commander Kenneth Drury of the Flying Squad and Bernie Silver. That was corruption in the 1970s. What we've got today, I mean, just yesterday, believe this or believe this not, we had another commander of the Metropolitan Police, a man called Julian Bennett, who had been a police officer since 1976. That's 47 years. And he had been allegedly smoking cannabis, which is extremely ironic because Julian Bennett was the senior officer, the commander of the Metropolitan Police, who drew up the regulations for the police on how to deal with officers that have been transgressing and messing with drugs. And the allegation was that Julian Bennett was himself smoking cannabis, and he was challenged on this and required to provide a urine sample so that it could be ruled out. But he refused to give a urine sample, said no, he wasn't doing it. And the reason that he gave was somewhat disingenuous, I believe, was that he was taking MSBC or something like that, this acceptable form of cannabis for back pain or something, and he thought that might contaminate the urine supply and he would be improperly found guilty. Well, he's now been properly found guilty for failing to comply to his own regulations, so we might say that he was hoisted by his own petard. Julian Bennett, the latest commander. There's been a few commanders, serious rank, I mean, chief superintendent above that. I mean, my father was a detective inspector, which is management, but it's fairly at the start of the management, isn't it? You know? But the idea of my dad smoking cannabis and messing around with the King of Soho, it's just unthinkable. He was dead straight, you know. A bit Victorian, but dead straight. Yeah, there's been a few. Wally Virgo, who was also a commander of the Metropolitan Police in the mid-1970s. He was dismissed for associating with a man called Jimmy Humphreys, who was another one of the Soho prostitution gangs who was setting up a series of pornographic bookshops, and he couldn't get permission to open them, so apparently Wally Virgo stepped in and got him that. The backhander was about, in today's money, about £250,000, which is quite a lot of money, isn't it? Let's face it. People do a lot of things for that. So did Wally Virgo, along with a bit of time in the old jails. So that's my tales from the jails for today about the corruption in the Metropolitan Police. It's a historic thing, you see. I mean, not only do we have corrupt commanders, we've also got murdering police officers and sex offenders. And currently there are 1,000 Metropolitan Police officers awaiting for their disciplinary hearings to be heard. 1,000 of them. Hey, what on earth's going on? Anyway, that's it for today, folks. Tales for the jails. Hey, that's the song dinger, folks. I'm not going to sing you a song. I'm going to read you a poem, one of my favourite, very thoughtful poem, this. This is a poem about the journey of life and how we mustn't expect to arrive at a certain destination and find that all our dreams and hopes and aspirations have been met. No, all we have is the journey, and it's very succinctly set out in this brilliantly crafted poem by C.P. Gavafi, and this is a poem called Ithaca. Are you sitting comfortably? Larry's grabbed his goat now. They're trembling there in Rotherham. Billy Goat Gruff is nibbling the grass. Paula, what we're having in Paula here? She's chasing the wild haggis round the moors. Catherine, what's Catherine doing? Yeah. Pancakes, Catherine, that's the one. Ithaca by C.P. Gavafi. As you set out for Ithaca, hope your road is a long one, full of adventure, full of discovery, Lastriganians, Cyclops, angry Poseidon. Don't be afraid of them. You'll never find things like that on your way as long as you keep your thoughts raised high, as long as a rare excitement stirs your spirit and your body Lastrygonians, Cyclops and Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you bring them along inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up in front of you. Hope your road is a long one. May there be many summer mornings when, with what pleasure, what joy, you encounter harbours you're seeing for the first time. May you stop at Phoenician trading stations to buy fine things, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, sensual perfumes of every kind, as many sensual perfumes as you can. And may you visit many Egyptian cities to learn and go on learning from their scholars. Keep Ithaca always in your mind. Arriving there is what you're destined for. But don't hurry the journey at all. Better it lasts for years, so you're old by the time you reach the island, wealthy with all you've gained on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the marvellous journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set out. She has nothing left to give you now. And if you find her poor, Ithaca won't have fooled you, wise as you will have become, so full of experience. You'll have understood by then what these Ithacas mean. There you go. C.P. Gavafi, Ithaca. I sincerely hope you enjoyed that. The poem is about life's journey and how we don't expect to arrive at a destination where there are pots of gold. Just the journey. Tales from the jails.